General Hospital will reveal Sasha had gone through a long, arduous journey, carrying silent, lingering wounds from her past. She had once been a strong woman, skilled at hiding her emotional scars beneath a gentle smile and resilient gaze. But deep down, Sasha still bore the pain of losses, betrayals, and disappointments that life had relentlessly hurled at her. When Michael left, abandoning her with the burden of a tiny life growing inside her, Sasha couldn't help but feel adrift and hollow. To fill that void, Jason stepped into her life, at first merely as a temporary replacement, a shadow assigned by circumstance. At first, Jason's presence felt like an unwelcome burden Michael had left behind. She regarded him with wary eyes, seeing him more as an unfamiliar guardian than a true companion. But Jason was not a man of many words or demands. He was quietly patient, waiting without expectation or judgment. That quiet tolerance gradually dismantled the layers of defenses Sasha had spent years building. She began to grow accustomed to the comforting silence when Jason was near, feeling safe in the calm he carried, an elusive sense of security she had never found in anyone else. The turning point came during an important ultrasound appointment, one where Sasha had resigned herself to facing a complex wave of emotions alone. As the ultrasound screen flickered with the first image of the baby, Sasha's hands trembled, not out of fear, but from overwhelming emotion. Then Jason reached out and held her hand, squeezing it firmly yet gently, as if trying to bear a part of her emotional burden. No words were needed, no hollow promises, just a steady presence and a profound understanding. That moment engraved itself deeply into Sasha's heart, making her soul tremble for the first time in so long because of a man. From that moment on, the bond between them quietly grew, steadily yet powerfully. Sasha began to see Jason not just as her supporter but also as the gentle father figure to Danny, a man who would kneel down to Danny's level, listen intently, and engage with a respect rare for a small child. The look in Jason's eyes when he saw Danny was filled with pure light, a love unconditional and selfless. In those simple, precious moments, Sasha began to picture a family she had once believed was forever beyond her reach, a family where brokenness could be healed through patience and love. Yet life had never been simple for Sasha. When Jason discovered her shady contract with Jen Sidwell, a sudden storm loomed over them. It was the first crack on the fragile foundation of trust they had been building. Sasha had braced herself for judgment, for the cold dismissal she had experienced so many times before. But once again, Jason surprised her. He did not rage, did not lash out. Instead, his eyes reflected deep disappointment and an unmistakable worry. He was afraid for her. For the consequences her mistakes could bring, and for the fragile relationship blossoming between them. Sasha understood then that Jason's concern didn't stem from obligation or duty. It came from genuine care, a feeling that had far transcended the boundaries they had initially agreed upon. In that wounded gaze, Sasha saw the special place she occupied in Jason's heart. She realized that Jason, the man the world often viewed as cold and distant, was offering her a kind of steadfast, enduring love that she had never dared hope for. And for the first time in so long, Sasha no longer wanted to run from it. She wanted to face it, to embrace it, to believe that this time, she was worthy of a whole, honest love. Amidst the growing uncertainties, past mistakes haunting her like persistent ghosts, and the imminent return of Michael threatening to sweep away everything, Sasha clung tightly to the memory of that ultrasound appointment. The memory of Jason's silent, steady squeeze on her trembling hand, of his unspoken but unwavering support. That would forever remain the small beacon of light guiding her through the darkest nights. And no matter where the road ahead might lead, no matter the storms they would have to endure, Sasha knew one thing for certain: the feelings she held for Jason had blossomed beyond gratitude or admiration. They had rooted themselves into a profound, tender love, one she was willing to protect with everything left in her once shattered heart. Everything might have taken a very different turn if Michael had not returned, bringing with him all the ambitions, resentments, and fierce determination to reclaim his role as a father. His unexpected reappearance in Port Charles was not just the revival of old memories, but a seismic shock powerful enough to shake the fragile foundation that Sasha and Jason had painstakingly built together. Michael, carrying a wounded pride and a love for Sasha that had never truly extinguished, would not easily relinquish his claim to his biological child, nor the lingering bond he once shared with her. His return promised not reconciliation, but upheaval, a storm of emotions threatening to undo every tender moment, every fragile step forward Sasha and Jason had taken in each other's arms. The battle ahead would not be simple or clean. It would be a messy, heart-wrenching ordeal where custody battles could rip apart what little peace Sasha had fought so hard to secure. Lawyers would be summoned, accusations would fly, and courtrooms would bear witness to the unraveling of lives. Promises once whispered in the dark would be weaponized as betrayals under the cold light of legal scrutiny. Tears would be shed, by Sasha, by Michael, perhaps even by Jason, each of them grappling with a reality that none had truly prepared for. The dream Sasha nurtured of a quiet, loving family with Jason could shatter under the weight of these relentless pressures, crumbling into nothing but regrets and broken dreams. Yet, through it all, in Sasha's eyes, Jason remained the unwavering anchor in the midst of the storm. He was her rock, her sanctuary, the steady heartbeat she clung to as the world around her descended into chaos. No matter how many obstacles arose, no matter how many painful crossroads lay ahead, Sasha knew that the love growing steadily inside her for Jason was something real, something unshakable. It wasn't a fleeting infatuation, nor a desperate grasp for comfort, it was the purest connection she had ever felt, born from countless moments of silent understanding and mutual vulnerability. And Jason, who had spent so much of his life hidden behind walls of stoicism and emotional armor, was slowly, almost imperceptibly, beginning to let her in. Piece by piece, he exposed the corners of his heart he had kept shielded for so long. Sasha saw glimpses of the man he was beneath the hardened exterior, a man who yearned for connection but had been taught by pain to fear it, a man who loved fiercely but had been too often betrayed to show it freely. With her, he dared to be softer, to be human in a way few had ever witnessed. In the quiet moments they shared, late-night conversations where few words were needed, fleeting touches that spoke volumes, stolen glances heavy with unspoken promises, Sasha felt Jason's emotional walls crumbling, replaced by something raw and achingly beautiful. She understood the weight of what he was offering her, not just his support, but his heart, scarred and battered as it was. It was a gift he had never given lightly, and she would not treat it carelessly. Whatever battles awaited them, whatever heartbreaks they might have to endure, Sasha knew that she and Jason had already chosen each other in ways deeper than words could express. Their connection was not born from convenience or circumstance, but from a profound recognition of two wounded souls finding, at last, something they had both believed lost forever, hope, love, and the chance to heal together. Each day slipped by, weaving itself into the tapestry of an uncertain future that Sasha clung to with quiet, desperate hope. Amid the long, sleepless nights where silence stretched endlessly and shadows crept across the walls, her mind would drift into restless dreams, dreams filled with the muffled cries of an infant she had not yet met but already loved with every fragment of her being. Those dreams were never perfect, they were fragmented, incomplete, riddled with fears of failure and loss. And yet, even in the darkness, even in the trembling spaces between sleep and waking, Sasha held on to a singular, burning belief, that the road she and Jason were walking, however fragile and uncertain, might still lead them to something real. Not a family stitched together by duty or obligation. Not a makeshift arrangement to cover old wounds or to placate the demands of a society that weighed worth in roles fulfilled rather than love given freely. No, Sasha envisioned a family built slowly, tenderly, painstakingly, from the raw materials of patience, forgiveness, and the kind of love that could only be born from two souls that had been shattered by life and yet somehow still had the courage to try again. She saw it in the way Jason looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching, a glance so full of unspoken promises and tentative hope that it made her chest ache. She felt it in the way he steadied her when she faltered, offering no judgment, only the quiet, steadfast support of someone who knew what it meant to fall and to rise again. In the simple, unremarkable moments, the brush of hands when passing the baby's bottle, the shared smiles over Danny's endless curiosity, the way Jason instinctively shifted to shield her from the cold night air, Sasha found the fragile beginnings of a future she had once believed was forever out of reach. There were days when the weight of their unspoken fears nearly suffocated her, when Michael's looming presence felt like a storm cloud threatening to wash away everything they were trying to build. There were nights when Sasha would sit in the dim glow of a nursery lamp, feeling the life stirring inside her, and wonder if love alone could truly be enough to anchor them against the tides of grief and resentment that life so often unleashed. But every time doubt threatened to overwhelm her, she would close her eyes and remember Jason's hand on hers during the ultrasound, the quiet affirmation that she was not alone, that she was loved not despite her brokenness, but because of it. This belief, this fragile but resilient hope, became the lifeblood that sustained her through the hardest moments. Sasha knew there would be battles ahead, that forgiveness would have to be earned again and again, that old fears and buried wounds would rise up to test them. But she also knew that the family she dreamed of with Jason would not be defined by the absence of hardship. It would be defined by their unwavering decision, every single day, to choose each other despite the hardships. It would be built through whispered reassurances during midnight feedings, through the laughter that would bubble up unbidden during chaotic mornings filled with spilled cereal and forgotten backpacks, through the solemn promises made in the quiet hours when the world slept and only the two of them remained, holding each other through the doubts and fears that never quite went away. It would be shaped by forgiveness, the kind that runs deep and is given freely, not because mistakes were forgotten, but because love had proven stronger than pride. Sasha did not crave perfection. She had long since abandoned the childish fantasy of a flawless, storybook family. What she wanted, what she was fighting for with every beat of her heart, was something far more precious, a family stitched together by shared scars, mutual healing, and an unwavering commitment to stand by each other when the storms came. And in Jason's quiet strength, in his steady hands and guarded but gentle heart, Sasha found the partner she never knew she needed. Someone who, like her, had faced the darkness and still chosen to believe in the possibility of light. Together, they would forge a family from the wreckage of their pasts, not by pretending the pain had never existed, but by honoring it as part of their story. Every sleepless night, every fear-soaked dream, every moment of uncertainty only strengthened Sasha's resolve. The road ahead would not be easy. It would demand more from them than either had ever given before. But it would also offer something neither had ever truly had, a home, a safe harbor built not on fragile illusions, but on the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the unwavering belief that even broken things could be made beautiful again. Drama, of course, was still lurking quietly on the horizon, like a gathering storm waiting for the right moment to unleash its fury. Sasha could feel it in the subtle tensions that sometimes crackled between conversations, in the shadows that danced behind Jason's thoughtful eyes, in the gnawing sense that peace, however precious, was fleeting. Wrong choices made under pressure, secrets still buried beneath layers of silence, and the insidious machinations of Jen Sidwell threatened to engulf the fragile life Sasha and Jason were trying to build. The threat wasn't a distant possibility, it was a tangible presence, creeping closer with every passing day, tightening its grip like an invisible noose. Jen Sidwell, with his web of deceit and manipulation, was a shadow that neither of them could easily shake off. His influence seeped into everything, contracts signed in haste, alliances forged in desperation, and promises whispered in the dark when hope seemed scarce. Sasha knew that their past entanglements with him could rear up at any moment, dragging them back into chaos just when they were beginning to find their footing. She understood that mistakes, hers and Jason's alike, had consequences that would not simply vanish with time or good intentions. But even with the storm gathering force, even knowing that the ground beneath her feet could crumble at any moment, Sasha felt an unshakable certainty deep within her chest: she would not run this time. She had spent too many years fleeing from pain, burying her fears beneath false smiles, building walls so high that no one could breach them. But Jason had found his way past all of that, through patience, through steady, unconditional presence, and in doing so, he had lit a flame within her that she refused to let die. The love she carried for Jason had become her anchor and her lighthouse all at once. It was not the kind of love born out of fantasy or fleeting passion, but the kind forged in adversity, tested by doubt, and strengthened by every challenge they had weathered together. It was the only constant in a world that seemed determined to pull her under. And it was this love that would guide her forward, even through the darkest nights. Sasha knew that there would come a day when everything might fall apart, when betrayals would be exposed, when old wounds would be torn open anew, when people they trusted might turn their backs. Friends could become strangers, allies could become adversaries, and everything they had built could collapse into ruin. But even then, when the world grew cold and unfamiliar, she knew all she would have to do was turn around and find Jason's gaze meeting hers, steady, unwavering, filled with a silent vow that no matter what, he would not let her stand alone. It wasn't just about love anymore. It was about survival, about choosing, every single day, to fight for something real in a world full of lies and broken promises. Jason had taught her that real love was not about grand gestures or perfect moments, it was about staying when it was easier to leave, about trusting when fear screamed to retreat, about offering your heart fully knowing it could be shattered. Sasha carried that lesson within her like armor now. She knew that whatever secrets still lurked in the shadows, whatever mistakes were yet to be paid for, she would meet them head-on. She was no longer the fragile woman clinging to dreams that slipped through her fingers like sand. She was stronger, fiercer, molded by love and loss into someone who understood the true cost, and the true worth, of standing her ground. And so, even as the winds of betrayal began to howl louder, even as the future trembled on the precipice of chaos, Sasha remained resolute. With Jason beside her. His strength, his loyalty, his quiet belief in them both, she would weather whatever storm lay ahead. She would walk through the fire if she had to, with her heart burning bright and her spirit unbroken. Because in Jason's eyes, Sasha saw the proof she had once thought was a fairy tale, that true, enduring love did exist. And for that, for him, she would never stop fighting. Not just for herself. Not just for the fragile dreams of a family she cradled close to her heart. But for the man who had taught her, against all odds, that even the most shattered souls could find their way home again.